Good morning, friends. Swami Vivekananda was born on 12th of January. And that's when we thought of discussing about Swamiji and his relation with his master and his relation with his brother disciples. So last time we discussed about Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda. This week the topic chosen is Swami Vivekananda and his brother disciples. Among the brother disciples, we are talking of monastic brother disciples. Narendranath, which is the pre-monastic name of Swami Vivekananda, was chosen by Sri Ramakrishna as the leader of a band of young men whom he was preparing to renounce the world and fully dedicate in pursuit of realization of God. And he chose Narendranath to be their leader. He wanted that they should all be growing with Narendranath at the center. For that, when these young men of 19, 20, 21 years of age used to come, he used to send them to Narendranath, go and talk with him, meet him. And Sri Ramakrishna knew who Narendranath was, what was his role. Everything was just clear to him by the divine visions. When Sri Ramakrishna was sick at Kashipur in 1886, towards the end of his life in this world, one of his disciples, Gopal, senior Gopal, he told Sri Ramakrishna that I wish to gift ochre robes to monks who are going to Ganga Sagar. That was the time that there was Ganga Sagar is the place where river Ganga meets with the ocean, with the sea, the Bay of Bengal. And that place is supposed to be a very holy place. And once a year, there is a huge gathering of people called Mela, and many people come to have a dip there in the confluence of this holy river and the Bay of Bengal and the sea, and earn the merit. And there are many householders who from all over India, and also many monks visit. And this senior Gopal has a wish to give this new ochre cloths to monks. When it was told to Sri Ramakrishna said, why are you searching the sannyasis who are going to Gangasagar? Here are these young boys who are far greater in renunciation and purity than those sannyasis. Those are united sannyasis. How Sri Ramakrishna saw in them this spark, the fire of renunciation. Give them these cloths. And it was arranged, and there were 12 cloths, and it was distributed to 12 persons. Among them, the 11 were the young men, including a senior Gopal who was senior to Sri Ramakrishna. 10 were very young, that was Narendranath's age or younger. And one was left out of 12, so 11 plus 1. That one was given to Girish Chandra Ghosh. Sri Ramakrishna said, give it to Girish Chandra Ghosh. He was a householder. He didn't live a very pure life, but Sri Ramakrishna knew that all his impurities will be burned by the grace of Sri Ramakrishna's purity. That's how Sri Ramakrishna started the fire of renunciation in them. When Sri Ramakrishna passed away, before he passed away, he gave instruction to Narendranath that, look Naren, please take care of these young boys. See that they practice spirituality. See that they don't go home and forget everything that they have learned from me. See that they don't become worldly. See that they try to realize God and serve God in humanity. That was what Sri Ramakrishna had taught, has given responsibility to Narendranath to organize the Sangha. Narendranath was of same age. It was very difficult to keep together these young men. But this responsibility Sri Narendranath followed. They were together, and one day after Sri Ramakrishna passing away, all these boys went to the house of one of them in a village called Bhatpur. It belonged to Baburam Ghosh, who later became Swami Kripamayananda. There, Swami Vivekananda in the evening, he lit a fire on the courtyard, firewood, and sitting around the fire, Swami Vivekananda was talking a lot about Jesus Christ. His inspiring words on Jesus and his renunciation, his compassion, his love, his sacrifice, he spoke in such a glorious word that all of them decided, yes, we resolve to take the life of renunciation and devote our life wholly in search of God, that they will become monks. They decided there. And later on it was found that day was 24th of December, the Christmas Eve. Swami Vivekananda didn't know. Just it came to him and he spoke the words, inspired them. The Swami Vivekananda was performing the role given to him. Hold them together. See that they don't their energy doesn't fritter away. They don't go back home. They live together. They practice together. That was being done. And after they took sannyas, they started living in Baranagar. They had no money. People who supported Sri Ramakrishna were reluctant to spend that much money now because Sri Ramakrishna is their guru. His guru was not there. And where they would find? They found a dilapidated house, almost broken, in Baranagar, in a cheap rent, and they started living there. Great hardship. Parents of these boys would come and want to take their sons away to their home. These boys will refuse to go. And parents will be angry. On whom? Not on the boy, on Narendranath. They say, it is Narendranath who is at the root of all this mischief. He is not allowing our sons to go home. But Narendranath inspired them. He didn't do anything physically. It was Sri Ramakrishna actually who all met them together. Love of Sri Ramakrishna, that was there. As you heard from Swamiji, all of them were so great. The greatness was yet to manifest. They didn't know. But Sri Ramakrishna knew how great each of them were. Later on they say that each of the 16 disciples of Sri Ramakrishna was so great in his spirituality and the power that each of them could have established one Ramakrishna mission. They were so powerful. And all power was imparted to them by Sri Ramakrishna and also in addition to whatever they had from their birth or from their samskaras. To keep together this band of renunciates was not easy. Baranagar days was very hard. They were so poor. The house was dilapidated. There were snakes in the house. Rats used to come. And for food, nothing was there. Nobody gave them alms. They didn't recognize. Their parents, they were unhappy. They didn't want to support them at all. They wanted each of their sons to go back home to them and get married and get into the life of a householder. and how the poverty was. Sometimes they didn't have even rice to eat, not even rice. But their spirits were very high. They used to meditate for whole night. Whole day were deep meditation, prayer, singing, and Narendranath gave them all their spirit high. One day they were meditating, no food was there. Shashi, who would be Swami Ramakrishnananda, he went out and baked some rice, some potato. He mixed the rice and potato, and they were all meditating and woke them up. Wake up. And they woke up. This is here the food they put in the mouth of everyone. Little morsel of food, that was for the whole day. Nothing was there. The brother disciples brother monks are so happy. After their prayer, they said, "Brother, you fed us like nectar. Oh, we never tasted so tasty food." What was that? Potato and rice. Their spirits were so high and so pure. When our minds are pure, everything seems to be very nice. Madhuvata ritayate, Rishi says. When we are pure, we see everything. The very air seems to be like nectar. Very dust of the earth becomes nectar. The sun becomes nectar. That food, simplest of the simple food, seems them to like amrita, like the nectar, ambrosia. Narendranath had to look after some little problem with his mother and parents, mother and his brothers and sisters' home. Some litigation was there, and he had to look after that. One day he had gone to home and came back in the evening, and brothers here were worried why he went, why he goes. He asked, one of the brother disciples, Swami Vivekananda, asked, "Was your thing okay there, or litigation was over?" Swami Vivekananda rebuked him, "Don't ask for those things." He was handling those two things that was so different from their monastic life. "That I will take care. You study the scriptures and practice meditation. Don't worry for that. Let me worry for my mother and my siblings." He had to balance this, keep hold of this, run the organization, very poor. And another problem was they were so much full of vairagya, renunciation. It was very difficult to hold them in the mud. Some of them would like to go and do tapasya. One of the brother monks was missing one morning. Where he went? Nobody knew. And he comes after 2 or 3 days, and then Raja Maharaj says, "We are so worried, where did you go?" He says, "I felt like going away and do a lot of meditation and spiritual practice." "Then why did you come back?" "Oh, I went for some distance a few days. After that, nothing was found. Nobody gave any money to go anywhere. So I came back." So he, full of love of brother monks, was more. And he came back. Such were the difficult times. One brother monk was meditating and said, "Oh, I have not yet got God realization. Can you give me knife so that I kill myself?" Sri Ramakrishna wanted to kill because he didn't have God realization. Imitating him, he said, "Can you give me knife? I don't want to live anymore because I didn't have God realization." Swami Vivekananda said, "Why do you ask? Knife is there, go and take that." So there was a lot of fun. They used to imitate Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda, others. And there was a lot of fun. It was not only prayer and meditation. Prayer and meditation was fun for them, was joy for them, but there were other lighter side. They used to sing, they used to dress like Shiva, they used to do dance on Shivaratri, and there was a lot of other humor also there. Swami Vivekananda was so humorous. There is one Bengali book, the humorous side of Swami Vivekananda, Sahasya Vivekananda, all these things are taken there. Then Swami Vivekananda he wanted to travel throughout the India to the pilgrimage and see the spirit of India. And he set out as Parivrajak, as a mendicant, toured all over India. But there also his brother disciples, some of them were so devoted to him, particularly one, Swami Akhandananda. He would not leave him. Swami Vivekananda wanted to move alone, fully depending on God. But Akhandananda was so loving, he loved him so much that he just followed him. Swami Vivekananda goes to one city, Next time when Akhandananda reaches there, he hears that Swamiji has left that city. Then where he has gone, he finds out to another city. So Akhandananda reaches there, before Akhandananda reaches, Swami Vivekananda had gone from that city. And in that way, from one city to another, Akhandananda followed him without success of getting him. But it was strange how in a city the people could know Swami Vivekananda. How could he ask people, where is Vivekananda? He was an unknown monk. But the aura of Vivekananda was such that people could identify, yes, there was a monk like that. He left the city a few days ago and had gone to that place. Swami Akhandananda was there, and finally Akhandananda gets hold of him. And then he says, I have found you. Narendra became unhappy. Why are you coming behind me? Then he said, Naren, I will go even to the nether world, even Patala to get you. What are talking of these cities? So that was love that Swami Vivekananda had generated, particularly Akhandananda. Swami, among the brother disciples, all loved him. It is very strange that brother monk is respected like Guru. His orders were commanded and were listened by all disciples. Difficult orders. Swami Vivekananda's vision was much more greater and clearer than other brother monks. He came to the West and he already had that command from Sri Ramakrishna to organize the Sangha, which is going to work great in future. Swami Vivekananda had seen. Now who will start the work? The great work. Swami Ji used to inspire in a letter to Swami Brahmananda. He says, you don't know how blessed you are, and you don't know how great Sri Ramakrishna was. You have come in the time when Sri Ramakrishna is there, and you are destined to make name in the history. Those people living in that poor hermitage, how would they believe they are there to make the history? But Swami Vivekananda said, I see this. If you don't believe, fire upon you. You are the monks of Sri Ramakrishna. You are born to do great things. I can see this. And he used to inspire like that to Brahmananda. He had great faith in Swami Brahmananda. And he said that if any other person, any other monk didn't believe in his ideal, in his work, in his ideal of new monasticism as serving to the society, Swami Brahmananda will be always with him. I have that faith in you, he used to say. When Swamiji returned from the West, founded the Ramakrishna Mission, registered it with the government on 1st of May 1897, and after a few months he met Swami Brahmananda, the first president of the order. Why he met first president? Because he had heard from Sri Ramakrishna that Swami Brahmananda has kingly qualities. That's why he was called Raja. Swami Vivekananda used to call him Raja, king. He learned it from Sri Ramakrishna himself. So when after coming from the West, when Swami Brahmananda and Swami Vivekananda they met, they both are stalwarts, both are highly spiritual. So Swami Brahmananda bows down to Swami Vivekananda, saying, Jyesta Bhrata Vidusama. You are senior among us who came first to Sri Ramakrishna. You are our leader. The elder brother is like father. One should respect the elder brother like father. That's what Swami Brahmananda said and bowed down. Then Swami Vivekananda bowed down to Brahmananda, saying, Guruvat Guru Putreshu. The Guru's son is like Guru. You are the spiritual child of Guru, of Sri Ramakrishna. So for me, you are like Guru. See the respect these brother disciples have with each other. Then the responsibility was given to Brahmananda. He became the president, and Swami Vivekananda said, please see that we have to make the embankment on the Belur Math. The land was just, the river had no embankment, so the river was eating away the land, Belur Math. And money was calculated. They said that this much money will do. So when the thing had started to do, the estimate was, it was overestimate. The estimate fell short. Then Swamiji had no money. Then he called Brahmananda and said, you had said so much money, now I find so it will take more money than you had estimated. Where will I get money? And he scolded Swami Brahmananda so much that Swami Brahmananda went in a room. And Swami Vivekananda knew that he was outrageous and he had said many words that he should not say. So he sent one brother disciple to go and look what Swami Brahmananda is doing. Brother disciple knocked the door was open, and Swami Brahmananda was in tears. And he said to his brother disciple, another brother monk, you see, Narayan used to scold me. He was very strong. Swami Vivekananda was so strong, he used to scold his brother disciples. They didn't dare to approach him. He had such great personality. So Swami Brahmananda said, Narayan used to scold me. Now because he loved him so much that he had the right to scold. But today he said even to my father and forefathers, it was too much for me. So I cannot stand that. When it was reported to Swamiji, Swamiji himself went, and Swami Vivekananda was in tears. Said, Raja, I know how Sri Ramakrishna treated you. He never said a harsh word to you. He always supported you. He knew your greatness. And you see how foolish I am that I scolded you so much. Please forgive me. Radha Maharaj was also very upset, and he had said before Swami, he had said that Narayan, perhaps I am not fit to be in the order. So I think I should leave the order. Then Narayana embraces him. You are very much fit, brother. You think I am not fit to live in the order. I think I should leave the order. Then they all embrace and cry, and that was the brotherhood. That was the relation between brotherhood of Swami Vivekananda. Once Swamiji had passed away, and he was being served by Nirvanananda, who later became vice president. Swami Brahmananda was being served by Nirvanananda, his sevak, his attendant. So Nirvanananda was a disciple of Swami Brahmananda. He said to Brahmananda, Maharaj, when you go to the world of Sri Ramakrishna after you give up this body, will you remember us? Brahmananda says, why will I not remember? Surely I will remember you. Then he said, Nirvanananda said, no, I don't think you will remember. You will be with Thakur, you will be with Swami Vivekananda there. How will you remember us? We will be in this world. Then Swami Brahmananda says, what you said? I will be with Swami Vivekananda? No. Swami Vivekananda will be far ahead of me. It will be a very high plane. He will be with Sri Ramakrishna, perhaps sitting on Sri Ramakrishna's lap. I will not attain that position. If I go to the plane where Swami Premananda, Swami Yogananda are there, I will be satisfied. So humble. And looking Swami Vivekananda with that eye, how great was Swami Vivekananda in the eyes of this Rakhal and all other disciples who played together, who were classmates, who were of the same age, who had the same love from his Guru, who got the same instructions from his Guru. But they knew the greatness of Swami Vivekananda. Swami Brahmananda, president of the order, had gone to Kankal, where Swami Vivekananda's disciple, Swami Kalyanananda, was in charge. And with the wish of Swami Vivekananda, they had established a hospital, and poor monks were being served there. Swami Brahmananda went to the hospital, there was a land. Swami Brahmananda said, Kalyan, why don't you make a temple of Sri Ramakrishna there? Swami Kalyanananda kept quiet, didn't say anything. President is ordering, his wish is almost order for the order for the Sangha. Kalyanananda kept quiet. Later on, another person asked, why didn't you reply to the president of our order, Swami Brahmananda? He said, his order is great for me, but you know Swami Vivekananda has said that land is meant for the service of the poor. There will be a building for the hospital raised over there. How can I make a temple there for Sri Ramakrishna? That hospital is set the temple. There is a small book called You Will Be a Paramahamsa. In that, Swami Kalyananandaji, who is the disciple of Swami Vivekananda's greatness is shown. He treated serving patient as worshipping Sri Ramakrishna in every way. And Swami Kripamayananda got this news later on. Then he called Kalyanananda and said, "You are saying right. What do I know? Swami Vivekananda knows much better. He had instructed you to make a hospital there. Yes, there should be a hospital according to the wish of Swami Vivekananda. I am very happy that you didn't heed to my request." President of the order is so highly respected in our Sangha. Even when he was not heard, listened, his wishes were not fulfilled, he was so happy because Swami Vivekananda had some other wish. That was the relation between Vivekananda and Kripamayananda. And with other spiritual disciples, Swami Vivekananda has 15 other monastic brother disciples. Swami Shivananda was senior to Swami Vivekananda. And to receive Swami Vivekananda returning from the West, Shivananda had gone to Colombo, traveled all the way to go there. And he came here, all very highly spiritual. Those who have read For Seekers of God, they know how spiritual was Swami Shivananda. We can have an inkling how much we can know these great souls. Those who met him, they can understand. But still you read For Seekers of God, you understand. It's so lovely book, Conversation with Swami Shivananda. Then one day, Swami Vivekananda said to Shivananda, Tarak Da, used the same brother, Tarak, elder brother, huh? Elder brother Tarak, will you go to Benares and start a center there? Swami Shivananda said, I have no capability to go and start a new center. I am here under your care, that's what I do. Then Swami Vivekananda said, brother, I have given words to the donor of that land. Do you want to make me a liar? I said, yes, we will start a center, I'll send a monk, and if you deny me, I will be proved a liar. So you have to do that. Now what Shivananda will say? He went there and established the Advaita Ashrama in Varanasi, Ramakrishna Advaita Ashrama. Like that, Swami Vivekananda had to inspire people to do the things. Swami Saradananda, he wanted him to go to the West to preach Vedanta. Saradananda was very calm and quiet person. And he said, what are you sending me to the West? What can I do? I don't have any ability like that. Then he put the hand around his shoulder and said, Shashi, he said, Sharad, I have given blood for building this, for the preaching of Vedanta. Won't you do this much? And he had to agree. Like that, he had to make agree every person with persuade the people to do the work. Swami, in Varanagar days, when there was no food, Swami Vivekananda one day comes very hungry and finds no food there. There was one banana kept in the shrine room to be offered to Sri Ramakrishna. Then Swamiji says, what you have done? I'm so hungry, and you have kept that banana for this old man? And he was rushing and going to eat that. Swami Ramakrishna, who was looking after the shrine, he objected, and forcefully dragged Swami Vivekananda. He said, that is meant for Sri Ramakrishna, not for you. And Swami Vivekananda became angry, apparently, but he was very happy to see the nishtha, the sincerity of Swami Ramakrishna to serve Sri Ramakrishna. He was so attached to the worship of Sri Ramakrishna, he didn't take care of anything. Once in the shrine there was rain coming and somehow the roof was leaking. It was at night. Swami Ramakrishna took out an umbrella, opened it and put it on the, covered the shrine, the urn of Sri Ramakrishna with the umbrella. The urn, the relics of Sri Ramakrishna was Sri Ramakrishna himself, was Swami Ramakrishnananda. That person who had done worship of Sri Ramakrishna in the relics throughout his monastic life, right from Paranagara age, Swamiji comes from the west and assigns, there in south itself he had said, I will send you an orthodox with more orthodox than yourself. And comes to Calcutta and says to Swami Ramakrishnananda, brother, you have to go to south to preach the teachings of our master. Ramakrishnananda was a totally different work. He never went to preach. He never went to do social service. He never went out of Bengal. Now he has to go all the way to south. It was just like a foreign land. Language, food, everything was different. Culture, everything was different. But Ramakrishnananda, by getting the command of Swami Vivekananda, went to the west, went to the south, in southern India, in Tamil Nadu, and did such a fantastic work and gave his life to that work. And now what we see in Chennai and all our Vedanta movement in South India is due to Swami Ramakrishnananda. So he could command that, pursue that, and his brother disciples obeyed him like that. But it was not always so easy. When Swamiji started the Ramakrishna mission, in 1897, Swami Yogananda, his brother disciple, objected to the service of humanity. He said, you learned something from the West which is contrary to the teaching of Sri Ramakrishna, who said only realization of God is the aim of life, and you are teaching now to serve the people. Now let us see that conversation on 1897, which is recorded by Swami Vivekananda, one disciple. Swamiji had been staying for some days at the house of late Balaram Babu. At his wish, a large number of devotees of Sri Ramakrishna have assembled at the house at 3 p.m. on May 1st, 1897. Swami Yogananda is amongst those present here. The object of Swamiji is to form an association. When all present had taken their seats, Swamiji proceeded to speak as follows. The conviction has grown in my mind, after all my travels in various lands, that no great cause can succeed without an organization. In a country like ours, however, it does not seem quite practicable to me to start an organization at once with a democratic basis for our work for general voting. People in the West are more educated in this respect and less jealous of one another than ourselves. He knew the strength and weakness of India. He knew the strength and weakness of the West. They have learned to respect merit, the people in the West. Take for instance my case. I was just an insignificant man there, and yet see how cordially they received and entertained me. When with the spread of education, the masses in our country grow more sympathetic and liberal, when they learn to have their thought expanded beyond the limits of sect or party, then it will be possible to work on the democratic basis of organization. For this reason, it is necessary to have a dictator for this society for the time being. Everybody should obey him, and then, in time, we may work on the principle of general voting. Let, Swami Vivekananda continues, while forming the Ramakrishna mission, let this association be named after him, in whose name, indeed, we have embraced monastic life, with whom, as your ideal in life, you all toil on the field of work from your station in family life. Within 20 years of whose passing away, a wonderful diffusion of his holy name and extraordinary life has taken place both in the East and the West. We are the servants of the Lord. Be you all helpers in this cause. Then after some conversation, Swami Yogananda puts the question, Swami Yogananda, you are doing these things with Western methods. Should you say Sri Ramakrishna left us any such instructions? Swamiji, well, how do you know that all this is not on Sri Ramakrishna's lines? He had an infinite breadth of feeling, and dare you shut up him within your own limited views of life? I will break down these limits and scatter broadcast over the earth his boundless inspiration. He never instructed me to introduce any rites of his own worship. We have to realize the teachings he has left us about religious practice and devotion, concentration and meditation, and such higher ideas and truths, and then preach these to all men. The infinite number of faiths are only so many paths. I haven't been born to found one more sect in a world already teeming with sects. We have been blessed with obtaining refuge at the feet of the Master, and we are born to carry his message to the dwellers of the three worlds. Swami Yogananda uttered no word of dissent, and so Swamiji continued, time and again have I received in this life marks of his grace. He stands behind and gets all this work done by me. When lying helpless under a tree, in an agony of hunger, when I had not even a scrap of cloth for Gopina, when I was resolved on travelling penniless round the world, even then help came in all ways by the grace of Sri Ramakrishna. And again, when crowds jostled with one another in the streets of Chicago to have a sight of this Vivekananda, then also, just because I had his grace, I could digest without difficulty all that honor, a 100th part of which would have been enough to turn mad any ordinary man. And by his will, victory followed everywhere. Now I must conclude by doing something in this country. So casting all doubt away, please help my work, and you will find everything fulfilled by his will. Swami Yogananda says now, yes, whatever you will shall be fulfilled. And are we not all ever obedient to you? Now and then, I do clearly see how Sri Ramakrishna is getting all these things done through you. And yet, to speak plainly, some misgivings rises at intervals. For as we saw it, his way of doing things was different. So I question myself, are we sure that we are not going astray from Sri Ramakrishna's teachings? And so I take the opposing attitude and warn you. Swamiji said something, and saying this, Swamiji left to attain something else waiting for him, and Swami Yogananda went on praising Swamiji's versatile gifts. That's how this brother disciples would see Swami Vivekananda. Swamiji, in a letter to Shashi, Swami Ramakrishnanandaji, how he guides. Swami Vivekananda was in Switzerland at that time, and Shashi Maharaj writes him that people are objecting of coming of some people of non-repute in the celebration of Sri Ramakrishna in Dakshineshwar, in Sri Ramakrishna's place. Should they be disallowed? That was somebody's opinion, and Swami Ramakrishnananda puts this question to Swami Vivekananda. In a letter, Swami Vivekananda says, and with this we'll conclude today's talk. My dear Shashi, 23rd August 1896, from Lucerne, Switzerland. Today I received a letter from Ram Dayal Babu in which he writes that many public women attend the Ramakrishna anniversary festival at Dakshineshwar, which makes many less inclined to go there. Moreover, in his opinion, one day should be appointed for men and another for women. My decision on the point is this. Number one, if public women are not allowed to go to such a great place of pilgrimage at Dakshineshwar, where else shall they go? It is for the sinful that the Lord manifests himself specially, not so much for the virtuous. Number two, let distinctions of sex, caste, wealth, learning, and the whole host of them, which are so many gateways to hell, be confined to the world alone. If such distinctions persist in holy places of pilgrimage, where then lies the difference between them and the hell itself? Number three, ours is a gigantic city of Jagannath, where those who have sinned and those who have not, the saintly and the vicious, men and women and children, irrespective of age, all have equal rights. That for one day at least in the year, thousands of men and women get rid of the sense of sin and ideas of distinction and sing and hear the name of the Lord is in itself a supreme good. Number four, if even in a place of pilgrimage, people's tendency to evil be not curbed for one day, the fault lies with you, not them. Create such a huge tidal wave of spirituality that whatever people come near will be swept away. Number five, those who even in a chapel would think this is a public woman, that man is low caste, a third is poor, and yet another belongs to the masses, the less be the number of such people whom you call gentlemen, that is, the better. Will they who look to the caste, sex, or profession of the bhaktas appreciate our Lord? I pray to the Lord that hundreds of public women may come and bow their heads at His feet. It does not matter if not one gentleman comes. Come public women, come drunkards, come thieves, and all. His gate is open to all. It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. Never let such cruel, demoniacal ideas have a place in your mind. But then some social vigilance is needed. How are we to do that? A few men, old men preferably, should take charge as the warders of the day. They will make circuits around the scene of the festival, and in case they find any man or woman showing impropriety of speech or conduct, they will at once expel them out of the garden. But so long as they behave like good men and women, they are bhaktas, devotees, and are to be respected, be they men or women, honest citizen or unchaste. This is Swami Vivekananda's ideas about Sri Ramakrishna. Equality of human being, divinity of the soul, every human soul, external feature, external, their profession, what they do, when they come to the Lord, they all become purified. They all become one as a devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. That is the message of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda to his brother disciples. I could take only Swami Brahmananda incident. There are so many brother disciples, so many interesting incidents. I think we should take another class on this, discussion on this subject in some near future on this Sunday. Thank you.